A deadly police shooting in LA's Skid Row.
Exclusive access to the work of police officers trying to stop all of this.
Ever feel like Los Angeles is playing you with its glamorous image? Here's what they hope you never discover about the real LA. While celebrities drop millions on mansions just 20 minutes away, there's a 50-block nightmare that defines what the city actually island. We're talking about Skid Row, 4.3 square miles of pure urban decay where 9,000 to 15,000 people live on the streets. But here's what they don't tell you. The crime rate here is 103% above the national average. Violent crimes, 201% higher than anywhere else in the country. Think about this for a second. In those 4.3 square miles, there are more homeless people than in entire cities across America. More people sleep on these streets than live in all of Wyoming. This isn't some random tragedy. This is concentrated poverty on a scale that would make third world countries look organized. But here's where it gets interesting. Skid Row isn't some accident of urban planning. Since the 1992nd, it's been operating as what insiders call a containment zone. The city deliberately concentrates services here to keep the crisis from spreading to more valuable areas. While neighborhoods like Hollywood and Venice saw improvements in 2025, Skid Row stayed exactly the same. Here's how the system really works. They funnel all the problems into one area, so the rest of LA can pretend everything's fine. Downtown workers report daily assaults just walking to their jobs. Businesses lose thousands monthly due to theft and unsafe conditions. The reality is that this 50-block radius operates like a different country, one where normal laws don't apply. And that's exactly how they designed it to work. What you're seeing now is just the surface. The real story of how they built this modern hell is going to show you that none of this was accidental. It was engineered by people who knew exactly what they were doing. This system didn't happen overnight. The architects of this disaster started building it over 100 years ago, and here's exactly how they did it. Skid Row originally housed railroad workers and seasonal laborers in cheap hotels called SROs, single-room occupancy buildings. Even back in the late 1800s, city planners were already zoning poverty into specific areas. They wanted the workers nearby, but contained. But here's where politicians made their most devastating move. In the 1972nd, they closed mental health institutions across America without creating adequate community support. We're talking about thousands of vulnerable people suddenly released onto the streets with nowhere to go. The ones with severe mental illness naturally gravitated towards Skid Row because that's where the basic services were. Here's the math that'll blow your mind. Today, 38% of Skid Row's homeless population has untreated mental health or substance abuse issues. That's not coincidence. That's the direct result of policies from 50 years ago that are still destroying lives today. Then came the drug policies that made everything worse. California's Proposition 47 inches 2014 reduced penalties for drug crimes. Sounds progressive, right? Here's what actually happened. Drug arrests plummeted, but public drug use exploded. Skid Row became an open-air pharmacy where dealers operate without fear. The crack epidemic of the 82nds and 92nds turned the area into a distribution hub that never recovered. Add rising housing costs, we're talking median rents over $2,000 monthly, and you've got a perfect trap. With minimum wage jobs at $16 per hour, the math literally doesn't work. No address means no job. No job means no housing. Every humanitarian policy designed to help actually concentrated more problems in the same 50 blocks. The politicians created a system where being compassionate meant warehousing human misery in one convenient location. And that's where the industry that nobody talks about comes in. The one making millions off keeping people exactly where they are. Ever wonder why $500 million can't solve homelessness in one city? Here's what seasoned observers know. There's an entire industry that profits from keeping this problem unsolved. Los Angeles spends over $500 million annually on homeless services. Let's do the math they don't want you to see. $500 million divided by 71,000 homeless people equals roughly $7,000 per person yearly. With that money, you could provide basic housing for every single person. So where does the money actually go? Here's the insider's secret. Administrative salaries, consultant fees, and organizational overhead eat up 60, -70% of that budget. Nonprofit executives earn $150,000 plus annually while people die on the streets they're supposedly serving. These organizations have a perverse incentive. The worse the problem gets, the more funding they receive. The system rewards contacts made and services provided, not people who actually leave the streets. It's more profitable to keep someone cycling through expensive programs than to help them become independent. A single emergency room visit from Skid Row cost the system $15,000 to $25,000, but preventing homelessness would cost a fraction of that. But here's where it gets really ugly. The Homeless Services Lobby spends millions on political campaigns to maintain their funding streams. They actively block efficient solutions like temporary housing because it would reduce demand for their expensive services. When someone proposes building basic, functional shelters, these organizations fight it because simple solutions threaten their business model. The bureaucratic maze isn't broken, it's working exactly as designed. People wait months to access programs while administrators justify their jobs by creating more paperwork and requirements. The goal isn't to empty Skid Row, it's to manage it profitably. This isn't just incompetence. It's a calculated business strategy where human suffering generates steady revenue. While families struggle with $2,000 monthly rents, nonprofit directors buy houses in Malibu using money allocated for homeless services. And that's just half the story. The other half involves people who control the streets through methods that would shock you. Skid Row operates as America's most visible 24/7 drug supermarket, and here's who's really running the show. You can buy fentanyl, methamphetamines, heroin, and crack on literally any block, any time of day. We're talking about $5, 10 doses of fentanyl pass cheaper than a fast food meal. But here's what law enforcement won't tell you. This supply chain connects directly to Mexican cartels, specifically Sinaloa and Jalisco operations. The drugs flow through Long Beach ports and LA harbors in massive quantities. We're talking tons of fentanyl seized annually, but that's just what they catch. The stuff hitting Skid Row streets comes with cartel-level organization and protection. Here's how the distribution system actually works. Dealers recruit homeless people as sellers in storage units, offering free drugs in exchange for moving product. The tent encampments aren't just shelters. They're territorial markers for drug operations. Each area has its unofficial dealers who control specific blocks. The new chemical destroying people is called Tranq, a xylazine-fentanyl combination that creates zombie-like behavior. Users become catatonic for hours, making them easy targets for robbery and assault. But cartels keep pushing it because it's incredibly addictive and cheap to produce. Recent alerts from 2025 warn about experimental synthetic drugs even more dangerous than fentanyl appearing on Skid Row first. The dealers literally use homeless people as test subjects for new chemical combinations. If someone dies from a bad batch, they just adjust the formula. Police arrest rates for drug crimes have plummeted due to decriminalization policies, but trafficking has actually increased. The result? Skid Row became a consequence-free zone where international drug operations test products on American citizens. The health consequences spread beyond the 50 blocks. Needle sharing creates hepatitis C and HIV outbreaks that affect the entire county healthcare system. Tuberculosis cases linked to Skid Row have appeared in wealthy neighborhoods across LA. But drugs are just one source of violence. The other will show you why walking through there can literally cost you your life. The numbers don't lie. Violent crimes in Skid Row run 201% above national averages. And here's why. Police have essentially given up. Daily reality includes armed robberies, sexual assaults, and aggravated attacks that barely make local news anymore. In 2025, multiple murders occurred near Union Rescue Mission and other supposedly safe shelters. While other LA neighborhoods saw crime decreases, Skid Row got significantly more dangerous. Downtown workers report being mugged walking to their jobs in broad daylight. Phone thefts, purse snatchings, and random assaults increased 150% between 2024 and 2025. Criminals know that overwhelmed police can't respond quickly to the constant stream of emergency calls from the area. Here's what really happens on those 50 blocks. Different criminal groups control different territories for for drug sales. Shootings and stabbings over selling spots happen weekly. Most weapons crimes never get reported because victims don't trust police or fear retaliation. The homeless population faces constant victimization from predators who know their victims have no recourse. Rape, robbery, and assault against homeless individuals rarely result in arrests because witnesses disappear and victims can't be located for follow-up. But here's the systematic breakdown. Arrested criminals get released within hours due to overcrowded jails and bail reform policies. District attorneys' offices can't process the volume of cases, creating a catch-and-release system that guarantees zero consequences for criminal behavior. Police response times stretch longer because of call volume, and officers admit they avoid certain blocks during specific hours. When law enforcement effectively withdraws from an area, that space becomes lawless territory, where violence escalates unchecked. The spillover effect threatens the entire downtown business district. Companies spend millions on private security to protect employees, while many businesses consider relocating entirely. Tourism to downtown LA drops as visitors encounter aggressive panhandling, public drug use, and safety threats. This isn't just urban decay, it's complete social breakdown in the heart of America's second largest city. And the health crisis spreading from there threatens everyone. What's happening in Skid Row isn't just a homeless crisis, it's a public health emergency that could affect millions across LA County. Documented disease outbreaks in 2024 to 2025 include tuberculosis, typhoid fever, and E. coli infections at levels typically seen in refugee camps. Without access to bathrooms or showers, human waste accumulates on sidewalks and in storm drains. Rats and insects carry these diseases from Skid Row into surrounding neighborhoods through the metro system and foot traffic. Emergency room visits from Skid Row increased 300% over 5 years, with each visit costing taxpayers $15,000 to $25,000. We're talking about untreated diabetes, rampant HIV divided by AIDS, and hepatitis C spreading through needle sharing and unprotected contact. Mental health crises account for 38% of the population, but treatment facilities remain overwhelmed and underfunded. Here's the terrifying part. Diseases don't respect neighborhood boundaries. Hepatitis A and tuberculosis cases have appeared in wealthy areas like Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, traced back to contact with Skid Row through service workers, public transportation, and downtown employment. The LA Department of Health officially considers Skid Row an epidemiological threat to the entire region. Climate change makes everything worse. Rising temperatures accelerate bacteria growth and disease transmission. During heat waves, decomposing waste and standing water create breeding grounds for dangerous pathogens. Downtown businesses spend millions annually on disinfection and pest control to protect employees and customers. Some companies relocated entirely rather than risk exposure to tuberculosis and other airborne diseases. The economic impact ripples through the entire downtown economy. Medical experts warn that without immediate intervention, a major disease outbreak could overwhelm hospital systems across Southern California. We're one contaminated water source or foodborne illness away from a regional health catastrophe that could affect millions of people. The conditions in Skid Row have deteriorated to third world levels in the middle of America's wealthiest state, and the solutions being proposed won't fix anything, they'll make it worse. After decades and billions of dollars, here's the hard truth about why every solution fails. The current system serves too many powerful interests who profit from keeping things exactly as they are. The Housing First policy sounds compassionate, but here's the math that destroys it. Building one affordable housing unit in LA costs $600,000, $800,000. To house the current homeless population would require over $50 a billion fest, more than many states' entire annual budgets. At those prices, the money enriches developers and contractors while helping almost nobody. Meanwhile, places that actually solved homelessness did something different. Houston reduced their homeless population by 60% using enforcement combined with immediate services. European countries like the Netherlands combine genuine help with clear accountability requirements. Cities that maintain basic law and order see 80% success rates in programs that offer real alternatives. But here's what LA's elite won't admit. This system benefits them financially. Real estate developers buy cheap land near Skid Row, knowing future gentrification will make them millions. Politicians use the crisis to justify higher taxes and bigger government programs that employ their supporters. Wealthy residents donate to charities that never solve problems, buying themselves moral absolution without real sacrifice. The dirty secret is that it's actually cheaper to prevent homelessness than maintain people on the streets indefinitely. But prevention doesn't generate consulting fees, administrative salaries, or political capital like managing a perpetual crisis does. Here's what would actually work. Mandatory treatment for drug addiction and mental illness, work requirements for able-bodied individuals, and immediate consequences for antisocial behavior. Combine real help with real accountability, and most people choose help. The tragedy is that while politicians virtue signal about compassion, real people die on these streets every day. Each person who looks away from this crisis becomes complicit in a system designed to warehouse human misery for profit. This isn't entertainment, it's an emergency happening right now, 20 minutes from Beverly Hills. The question is, what kind of society are we if we allow this to continue? So here's the reality. While you've been watching this video, at least 3 more people probably ended up on Skid Row's streets tonight. The machine keeps running, the money keeps flowing to the wrong pockets, and nothing changes. But here's what you can do right now. Share this video with someone who thinks LA's policies are working. Sometimes the truth is the only weapon we have against a system built on lies. Don't let them keep this hidden.